What we're going to concentrate on first is something called source code modules. Now, when we talk about modularizing our program, all we mean is we are going to take a sequence of ABAP statements from our program and place them in a separate module. Then in our normal ABAP program, we just call this module. Let's get straight down to the coding and have a look at how we can modularize some of the code we have used in previous examples. Here we have one of the previous examples, and I've modified it just a tiny bit, just to tidy it up. And if we go through it, you'll get the main gist. And then we can start modularizing it. So first of all, at the top, with our table statement, we declare some types and some data. And then we have our ABAP logic to actually do something, which is an array fetch, an individual loop, clear statement, another loop where we modify an entry in the table, do an insert, and then a couple of read statements. First of all, we're going to look at using what is called include programs. Now, include programs are made available globally within an SAP system, and their sole purpose is just for modularizing code. They are very simple to define and accept no parameters. So first of all, just under the report statements at the very top of our program, let's fill in the statement to declare an include. And all we need to do is type include, and then we just define a name. So for this example, let's do Z underscore employee underscore definitions with a full stop at the end. Looks pretty simple, doesn't it? So what we're telling the program here is to include our include program that we've just named into our main program. And you probably worked out that we haven't actually created this include yet, so let's go ahead and do it. You have two ways of creating an include file. The first one, if I open up a new session and bring up SE38 again, you can key in your include name. So I'm not going to do it here, I'll just do Z example. But instead of saying source code and you create your program, you're going to create program attributes. So here we just give it a title. And when we come down to type, instead of choosing executable program, we would choose include program. And then fill out the rest as we normally would. Now the second method is something I'm sure you're familiar with already. Oops, I'm jumping the gun. And that's by using forward navigation. If you remember, we used forward navigation a lot when we created fields in our database table, and we've used it within the ABAP editor to go check out field definitions and so on. But we can do the same thing to create additional files within the ABAP editor. So all you need to do is, once you've typed the include, just give it a double click, and we get the pop-up box saying your include does not exist, you want to create it, and we say yes. Assign it to the local development class, and that's it, we've created it, and it gives us a blank program where we can put our code. I'm sure you'll agree forward navigation is a lot more efficient. Now from here, just to go back and show you just that it's the same as creating it through the SE38, we use the Go To menu and have a look at the program attributes. We'll choose yes to save. You can see it's exactly the same screen. It chose the include program. It's a test, it's assigned to basis, and there's our development class. Now remember, this include file or program is a separate file on the SAP system and can be included in any other program. So you have to treat it as a separate program, and you'll see that it's got its own check, it needs activating and so on. So let's activate this right now. Even though it's got nothing in, it should activate. And we get the pop-up box asking us what do we want to activate. It shows a report program, and it's highlighted our employee definition include already, so we just give it a green tick. And now it's active. Now if we step back, whenever we activate this program, our main one, it will automatically check to make sure our include program has already been activated. And if it has, this one should activate just fine. So include programs are really easy to create, and they help us in our development by taking away some of the noise from our main program and provide us with the ability to reuse our code throughout an SAP system. So this is great. We created our include, but you're probably thinking, well, we put no code in it, and you're quite right. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to take some of this code that we have here. Oops, wrong key. I'm going to take this, I'll comment it out, go to our include, we'll choose yes to save our changes, click change, and now all we need to do is paste our code into our include. I'll click save. Now on purpose I'm not going to activate it here. We'll step back. And I'll just show you to actually use this code now, we need to activate our main program. And when we do it, we receive this message saying we have syntax errors, so we need to look at those. And it's telling us the line 01_typ is unknown. And this is because our include has not been activated. The system doesn't have an active version of that code that our main program can reference. So to activate your program, you can either go to your include and activate it, or when activating your main program, select your include as well. And that way you're assured everything will be active and all the data objects in this example get referenced appropriately. Now also, if we step back to this include and we'll make a change, we'll add an error in here. Let's just add letter N, for example. We'll step back. Now our main program is active at the moment, and that's only because it's using the active version of our include. If we were to do a code check again, you'll see that we've got this error message cropping up telling us our include program contains an error. Now this seems fairly obvious, but what I want to point out here is when we do syntax checks in our main program, it will also carry out that syntax check on the inactive version of your include. So they work in tandem. So let's go back in, we'll change this, get rid of this error. And then everything's back. So that's it. That's a very small example of an include program, but it shows you we've only put 4 or 5 lines of text in the include. You could put 200, 300 lines of code into that include file, which in effect helps you encapsulate certain elements of your program, pop them away in a separate file so you don't have to worry about them. And you'll see this type of thing being used quite often for both code, logic, and for data declaration parts of a program. Quite often people will create an include, put all the data and type statements in the include, and then just have the logic for the code in the main program. And that way, all the data declaration pieces can be used in other programs as well.